Should Breeze topic number 2 says 3 Americans sentenced to death in the Congo. Will America come to their rescue? This came with a link that's going to take us to YouTube. We'll watch the video. It's short. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
Three U.S. citizens were among 37 defendants sentenced to death by a military court on Friday for their role in a failed coup in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Armed men briefly occupied an office of the presidency on May 19th before their leader, U.S.-based Congolese politician Christian Malanga, was killed by security forces. His son Marcel Malanga was among the Americans on trial, along with Marcel's friend Tyler Thompson, who played high school football with him in Utah. Both are in their 20s. The third American, Benjamin Zalman Paloon, was a business associate of Christian Malanga. All three were found guilty of criminal conspiracy, terrorism, and other charges, and sentenced to death in a ruling read on live TV. Malanga had previously told the court that his father had threatened to kill him unless he participated. He also told the court it was his first time visiting Congo at the invitation of his father, whom he had not seen in years. The Americans are among some 50 people, including U.S., British, Canadian, Belgian, and Congolese citizens standing trial following the failed coup.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thing that kid did too. His father was killed. He blamed it on his dad. Well, my dad forced me to come. Very interesting stuff. In the chat, Black Steel says they're cooked. Black Steel, what say you to all of it?
So, yeah, fuck those guys. So it's so funny to me. America goes overseas, overthrowing governments and doing coups, and then all of a sudden, is America going to help them? Probably not. Probably, especially the black one. He's done for. He's done for. The white ones, they might do some sanctions, but America doesn't really give a damn about its citizens the way you think they do, right? So there's an author, Howard Zinn. He says the same society that rewards you will, in order to, if necessary, in order to control you, will kill you, right? So we see that sometimes you have a carrot and sometimes you have a stick. So I sincerely doubt they may put some international pressure. They may, do some sanctions against the Congo, but I don't see them really intervening because these people are nobodies. It's not like they sent Anthony Blinken over there. It's not like they sent Hillary Clinton or somebody important. It's just just two nobodies. So I could see them pretty much letting them go. Will Congo go through with the execution? I don't know. I don't know because it is white people we're talking about here. They might give them life in prison. They might give them a 40-year sentence. We'll see. But I do think it's ironic that as much as America has tried to overthrow countries, like there was a couple years ago, and if Picard said he may remember this, when the Ku Klux Klan tried to go down to Dominica and overthrow the government down there. It was a mess. These white supremacists tried to go down to Dominica, not to be confused with Dominican Republic, and overthrow the government. And that was their whole thing. And they felt no problem with it. The United States has overthrown governments in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. The list is so long, it's ridiculous. So I don't think America's really gonna care too much about these people. Matter of fact, just think if it fits their agenda, they don't really mind losing a citizen. There was a American who got killed this week actually in the West Bank in of the Jordan River in Palestine in Israel. and she was protesting the illegal settlements of the Israelis, and she got shot in the head with a sniper bullet. And nobody said anything. You might not even heard about it. So here we have a U.S. citizen who is, unarmed, being killed, being murdered by a foreign government, by a foreign government's military, and you don't hear a word about it. So, and this was a white woman. I believe she was white, or she may have, I don't know. But this black boy, he's done for. The white people, they might get a reduced sentence. They might get 40 years. But could you imagine 40 years in a Congolese jail? Man, kill me now. That's what I'm. I wouldn't want to imagine something like that. But overall, yeah, I don't see this as America really gonna extort any type of diplomatic pressure on behalf of these three. They're just, what, sometimes you gotta throw some fish back, right? You gotta let them go. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. In the chat, MG2 says the United States will come to the rescue to those terrorists in the coup in the Congo. Trigger Hobby 262, to Black Steel's point about the white supremacists trying to take over the Caribbean island. He says, yeah, overthrowing governments takes backing, not vigilantes. MG2 says she was a Turkish USA citizen, and Turkey did more and acknowledged it more than the US. So he's responding to what Black Steel said. With that said, let's hear from Brother Bakari if he's still here. Is Bakari still here? No. Let's hear from Jose on this. Jose, what say
you? Yeah, it was on a few weeks ago. Didn't we touch it in at Shoot the Breeze, where there were recordings of them trying to take over the governmental building, and the president was not there. His father has a political movement from outside of Congo to bring democracy or whatever to Congo. We say I've seen a lot about this, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they get the death sentence. Does anybody know what type of government is in the Congo? Is it anti-Western? What? Anybody? Any idea? That's it.
Congo is usually pro-West. Congo is usually pro-West. Still are. They work very closely with the United States government. They haven't gone over to the Soviets. They still pro-West.
So they have a democracy. It's a general
democracy in the way the Americans say, well, Western style democracy, which really means they pro-West and they do anything the West says because they have Western corporations and they're extracting a lot of the mineral wealth and resources out of their place. But really and truly it's a puppet government, so that's what democracy means in the Congo.
Well, I mean, democracy as far as, do they have elected officials? Do they have elections? Do the people appoint?
They still have elections, Kofi. They still have elections.
Okay.
But was with Mobutu, when Mobutu was in office, it's the same kind of style, so-called democracy, quote unquote, brother. Democracy in name only. You know what I mean? They have a strong mind government. Yes.
Gotcha.
Kofi, while you're there, you want to respond to what you saw?
Yeah. So this kind of reminds me of, I saw a documentary a while back about what the West was doing in Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea President Obiang, he probably passed by now. President Obiang, they discovered oil, yada yada yada. The West was trying to do business with him. He was like, no, I'm going to give you this amount of money for my oil. You can't do it. They didn't want the Chinese to get it. So they took a lot of the old soldiers from South Africa, and they were trying to do a military coup. Everyone was going to do a military coup, and they tried to overthrow the government. And the people, so I think it was England France and a couple other Europeans that was involved with it, because the guy that was heading in, he was pretty much spilling the beans, and all they did was give him time because they weren't successful in doing it. But he was just spilling the beans, saying, "Look, no, I don't want to go back to Europe. If I go back to Europe, I'm a dead man." You know, I am saying that to say that I really don't feel for these guys at all, right? Because pretty much you're the son. I don't know what's going through the son's head where you going to commit, pretty much have your father be killed. And I just see white hands everywhere. It's white friend Jeremy or Josh or whatever the hell his name is or whatever. I have no sympathy on for them. I don't care how young they are. I don't care if they went through the proper judicial system and the evidence is stacked up against them. I really don't care. I really don't care because I'm pretty sure once he was to do that, I'm pretty sure the West has something to do with this. Because why go through the effort of overthrowing a government, especially when you clearly see there's black people and there's white people involved. So the hell with them. I really don't care. I don't want to spend any more time talking about them. The hell with them. That's it.
Yeah, I kind of echo that too. The hell with them. MG2 has returned. MG2, 3 Americans sentenced to death in the Congo. Will America come to their rescue? What say you?
Yeah, well, you got this Judith Sumwina's government that's in there right now. That was, she put her cabinet there together back in May, and this comes in from the old, again, the same old playbook of a colonizer that is running out of places to colonize, for lack of a better term. And when I said that more than likely those individuals would be rescued, I used $2. In other words, they'll be rescued with $, not the S. And what I mean by that is, if you see what had happened, I think it was back in 2022, China's military assistance in the DRC, especially, in Russia, since I think about, it must be like 2002 or 2003. I have to go back through my notes. It's been a long, long time. They have set up a bunch of a bunch of banking, in other words, non-aligned countries that are aligned against Western powers have already established basically a foothold in that area. One, of course, because of the resources that are there. And I know that China, if I'm not mistaken, they sent a bunch of drones, actually, because they had because of the, I don't know if it was an opposition, I should say terrorist situation, because that's basically what it is. And I believe that they were helping them with military, with kind of like what's happening in the Sahel states with Russia's involvement there, but not to that extent. But it's more of a hands-off, for lack of a better term. And I think that this kind of happened not because of, but probably along with, because of the fact that African nations are starting to look elsewhere. I won't say for colonization, but I'll just say for conversation. And that's a great threat to colonizers, who've basically had their bread buttered for the longest time. If you see what's going on in the Sahel states, France can't stop with them and their lackeys getting jihadists to go ahead and kill Burkina Faso residents. I mean, it's just like happening like a white boy going to Starbucks nowadays. And so with that, that quote unquote coup attempt, keep in mind that they like to do things under the guise of religion, because of the fact that Congo is deeply, like a lot of these other areas, are deeply with European religion. And you'll get a lot of so-called missionaries, which are nothing more than, assassins, for lack of a better term. And so I would hope that Congo does execute them, and they don't fall for the okie doke by taking money, because that's usually what United States does, or not just U.S., but Western powers. If they can't get you one way, they'll get you the other way. Hopefully, they don't fall for the wolf tickets of, here's some money, let our folks go, and kill those other dark folk, because that's basically what they're going to do. I hope they make an example, kind of like what Kim Jong Un did to Weinmer, that peckerwood that ended up coming back in a box. Hopefully they'll do that, because that might be a clarion call for other African nations that need to wake up, like Ghana and Kenya and Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast and Benin, that need to wake up and do the same thing, basically taking control of their countries in their own hands. So hopefully They do execute them, and they don't fall for the money games, which is kind of normal. And maybe we'll all learn a little something from this. I'll go ahead and pass the mic.
Appreciate that, MG too. Let's hear from Oni. Oni, what say it all?
Yeah, so I don't know the veracity of the kid saying that he didn't even know his dad, but his dad just said, come through. I mean, I'm not saying that I would take pity, but what I would say is that, this is the nature of the world at some point. As to say that, yeah, people do coups. Um, uh, People, especially not especially in Africa, but people do coups. And it's always been, I think my favorite quote is the one where it's something along the lines of, war doesn't determine who's right, war determines who's left, And the reality is that, when you dare to struggle, there's a chance that you'll lose. There's a chance you'll get caught. I'm reminded, from this movie. I can't remember the name of it, but there was this Nigerian movie. I don't really like Nigerian movies like that, but there was this one Nigerian movie where they were doing a coup attempt and they got caught. Like they failed, and all of them had to get executed. And it was, based off a real story. But that's the thing. So it's like, you don't try like if you try and you succeed, you'll be rewarded. But if you try and fail, that's the death penalty. That's your ass. Uh, this kid, I don't know. It seems like he was an American or something. I'm not exactly sure. But this kid, his father's in Congo telling him, "Hey man, come through." I mean, I don't know the story. Obviously, I don't know. But if your father's telling you come through and try to overthrow this government for me, like you had to, you weren't thinking if you followed him. You weren't thinking. But it is what it is. Yeah. I guess I echo the sentiment. Hopefully Congo goes through with it. But I'm pretty sure Congo's going to go through with it because if there's, what a coup is, or what the main thing that a lot of these conversations are centered around, whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about American presidential candidates, or whether we're talking about coups, is power. And people. One of the rules of, I guess it was Maurice Bishop who said one of the rules of revolution is that you gotta keep the revolution going. But one of the rules about power is that you try to stay in power. And one thing that's going to stop you from staying in power is a coup. So it's one of the most serious things that you can do in a country. And the fact that these guys tried it and failed, yeah, that's the there's real life consequences for that. So this story seems like a fafo to me. So as far as will America come through, I don't know what like again like because Biden's the president right now. I legit don't know what he does. You know what I mean? like I just seems like bad decision after other. But I would be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised. I'll just put it that way. That's it.
Appreciate that. Only in the chat, Ty Cruz said, perhaps we need kings in Africa or decentralized tribes that choose heads. It was my understanding that we still do have kings in Africa. And that they are supposed to be choosing heads of government. So I don't know. I mean, if someone else knows better, let me know. But that was my understanding. Thanks for that, Oni. Let's hear from, last but not least, I guess. Let's hear from Buana.
Yes, sir. So Coco, I can tell you exactly what's gonna happen. I don't side with Odin in his speculation. I side more with MG2. And the reason why I said it is just watch the video itself. It speaks for itself. The fix is in. If you watch any jail sentence where in America where the sentence is death, these white guys will be crying all over themselves, because they know that the state is gonna execute them. These guys have been just sentenced to death. Look at them. They shaking hands. They're as cool as cucumbers because they know the fix is in. They know the fix is in already. They know they won't see. They know in a couple of months they're going to be deported back to the United States of America. There was a man named Simon Mann. Kofi was trying to allude to him earlier in terms of Equatorial Guinea. Simon Mann was a British white man. He did the exact same crime. He was trying to overtake British Equatorial Guinea. Well, Equatorial Guinea. And the president caught him and had a case against him. And I think that the sentence was either life or death. He's now in England now writing books about his time. Rarely do you see an African government sentence a white man to death. Rarely. Now, I would say this. Here's the exceptions. If Idi Amin was alive, he is a dead man. If Mugabe was alive, he would be a dead man. If if he was in Museveni's government, Museveni right now in Uganda, he would be a dead man. There are certain presidents, if they was around, they don't play with it. They don't play with it. They don't give a shit. If Magufuli from Tanzania, maybe I don't know if they have their attendants there, but certain strong men, if he was in Rwanda, he may be a dead man. I don't know. I put a question mark to that, because the president there don't mess around either. There are some presidents who don't give a shit where you come from. If you try to undermine their government, you either go into jail for life or you are a dead man. They don't give a damn about executing a person, but they don't exercise these squeamishness politics because we don't want to offend the West. You know what I mean? They don't have that kind of mentality. You are a dead man if you're just trying to undermine their government. The Congo,
Well, that sounds like you're in the matrix a little bit.
brother. These guys are cool as
Juana,
cucumbers.
you're breaking up,
Because
Juana. Juana, you're breaking up real bad. We didn't hear you.
in the Philippines or one of these Islamic countries in Asia, they were dead men. They would be dead men if this was in Asia. But we play with our politics because we try to whoever is giving us the most money, we're going to subject ourselves. You remember the barefoot bandit, Coco? The barefoot bandit was shooting at the police in the Bahamas, bro. He was shooting at the police in the Bahamas, and the Bahamian government. You're supposed to be in the Bahamian jail, not a United States jail. This is the ridiculousness of these. Well, I don't go there. I'm just saying that I don't think that they will sentence. I don't see that happening. And I tend to err on the side of MG2 in terms of what will eventually happen. I believe that. They won't see no kind of death sentence. But I'll leave it. Depending on who really they know within the United States government, who their families are, they don't have to worry about that. That's why they cool as cucumbers. But I'll leave it there, Coco, just to be brief.
Does anyone have any last thoughts or any questions you want to ask another panelist?
I want to say one thing before we go on. I remember the one white boy. His name was Otto Warmbier. He went to North Korea, and they accused him of spying for America, which he may have been. Who knows? But they sentenced him. I mean, looking at the thing, they sentenced old boy to let me see what it was. He got charged with 15 years imprisonment with hard labor, right? He lasted a year, and they sent him back home in a vegetative state. And when he got back to the U.S., his parents requested they pull his feeding tube and just let him die. So every country is not soft on that. Who knows what the Congo might do? Is Congo North Korea? No, they're not. North Korea is very hostile towards Western interests. Congo tends to be very friendly towards Western interests. But they might get that 15 years hard labor, even if their sentence gets commuted to not death. I think life in a Congolese prison can't be pleasant, you know. So I'll leave it there.
Any other last thoughts by anybody on the panel? All right, good conversation. Let's go to should we start with number 3 then, for time's sake.